The tech for this podcast was produced by Truth Digital. Truth Digital is the sister company to Cochrane & Co. We work in the same office, we drink the same coffee. We do websites, marketing, paid ads, social media, SEO, and all of the other things that will get you new business quickly and efficiently without the bullshit. Check us out, truthdigital.co.uk, or check us out on socials. All handles are Truth Digital. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you here again very soon. Right, welcome to the podcast, Danny. Danny, explain to me first of all, what's your story?
Oh my word, what is my story? Well, how did I get here, Tom? Can you believe it? Hey, we're on camera as well.
Yeah, we've got beers.
We're
in the studio here at Cochrane & Co. in Darlington, North East.
We're far too handsome to just do an audio version, aren't we, Tom? You know, I don't know if there is a wood floor podcast. It's like done in this format. Is this the first?
It's the first flooring podcast.
I love it.
Well, certainly in the UK. I think they've got one in the US, but we're the first UK and we're the first onto YouTube, onto all Amazon and all the big platforms. We're going with it, and we've got beer.
Yes, sir. Look, yeah, cheers. Shalom. Oh, look, and I've worn my best shirt.
Absolutely.
You know, so I've come looking like one of Tony Montana's henchmen. You would think am I a drug smuggler or am I a floor sander?
Full Miami Vice.
Yeah, let's find out. Yeah. Oh man.
What's the story, Danny?
What's the story? Bloody hell. Look.
Where did it begin?
Get the violins out. Whoa. So I guess start with my life. The reason, who am I? Danny Stenhouse, but call myself Danny Sandhouse. My first floor sanding name was Hands on Deck.
Right.
That was what I started out as Hands on Deck, and it quickly became people were calling me Hands on Dick, and I was just known as Hands on Dick, and I was like, oh god, this is no good. So I changed. And also I realised the power. I mean, this was 6 years ago. Google changed all the time, but back then it was SEO, search engine optimization, and things like that. So by having the deck in there as keyword, I was getting decking inquiries. I was like, I just want to sand the floor. I'm like, there's deck, and you can check the keywords and what's getting you in the searches, and it was decking. So I was like, this is no good. I'm getting called Hands on Dick. Everyone wants the decks doing, But so anyway, so Danny Sandhouse. So my name's Stenhouse, Danny Stenhouse. And so Sandhouse was just a little bit of a play on that, play on my surname. But, I guess like even before that, I don't know where I start. I guess I'd start from, where was it? So I was born on a street in York called Pottery Lane, which was known actually to everyone as Poverty Lane. They called it Poverty Lane. It was I was born, just me and my mum. She was a single mum on a council estate, big long street. Everyone used to call it Poverty Lane. There was all kinds like going on there. Used to see it all kind of. And York's a nice place, you see, but it's got where there's council estates. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of the school of life. So just me and my dad, me and my mum. Sorry, my dad. He lives, and all my family, it's just me and my mum in York, but all my family live on Merseyside, so a massive family over there. But my dad, he's a heroin addict, so, my mum sort of made that decision when she was pregnant with me to move back to York, and she thought, really it was probably better for me. And, no disrespect to my dad, my old man, he's later on in life, he's kicked the habit, he's still on the methadone or whatever it is, to you'll never be off it really ultimately. But we talk a lot now. I go to Liverpool to see him. He's always had a big influence on me with music and the Beatles, and also the artistic side definitely comes from him. But so there you go. So that's where I started, on Pottery Lane, and we were poor, we were skin. But my mum was a grafter. She was an hard worker. She'd work in the chippy. She'd clean houses, she'd do people's ironing. She was an Avon lady. She used to do this thing called bingo, like sell bingo tickets, and all the time I'd be
the York hustle.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The York, she really, like, my work ethic, I've got so much to thank my mum for. She'd bring me, when she used to work at the chippy, I had a little cafe You know, I'd be in Kathy while she'd be doing a shift, and I'd be going around sorting Avon out with her, or I'd be doing like so that was that, you know, so that was me. I was diagnosed with Asperger's, you know, as a kid, and ADHD, well, you know, whatever, you know, I ignore them, but I guess it's all made me like quite a unique sort of character. My brain works in a different way. There's pros and there's cons to it. I'm really creative, I guess. You know, I see things that different, play loads of instruments, guitar, drums. I got distinction in music, you know. So I'm one of, and also, I guess, quite a confident lad, I guess, growing up where I grew up. It was, you know, like the school of hard knocks, you know, you'd have to, it was like fighting for survival almost. But my mum, you know, a lot of people are on the estate. They didn't have jobs. They didn't work. There was a lot of, you know, crime but by my mum setting that example for me, she, like I say, she was a big inspiration. So there you go. I did that anyway. When I was at school, it was time to do your careers. I was a little shit, you know, but I was always smart. You know, they always say you're so wasted on blah, you know, your potential. But so I thought, right, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to be something. So I thought I'm going to do philosophy, politics, psychology, and history or something like that. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. And I sat with a careers lady. This was in 2004. Now they'd be like, yeah, go on, do it. But I sat with a careers lady, and she's like, Danny, she never met me, but she said, looking at your behaviour record, you know, are you sure you want to go into further education? You know, it looks like you're smart, but you can't really, you know, sit still, or you're disruptive and all this. So she was like, what are all your mates doing? Now, all my mates were like, you know, Jack the lads and things like that. So they're all construction, you know, you get to 16, I'm off to be this, I'm off to be a joiner. I chose to be a bricklayer. So I qualified as a bricklayer. Right. So but it wasn't for me. I was 17. I had no I had no idea what that entailed. And that entailed getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I had to get me tools, cycle to York train station. It was for Shepherd Construction, you know. I had to cycle to York. They all had their jobs in Leeds. Cycle to York train station with me kit, you know, all my tools. Then I'd be up, all of a sudden, I'd be up on some scaffolding in the middle of Leeds City Centre, walling blocks. It was not bricks. I was, you know, trying to...
Old breeze block.
Yeah, just breeze blocks. So there was no, like, you know, you'd see brick. I'd want to spring an arch. I'd want to do a raking cut and all this. And, you know... And I'm just there. If I'm lucky, you know, doing blocks. A lot of it, you know, I have to tell you, it's like, you're lucky. It's how it, but I get it. You know, it's like, right, you know, do this, get that, fetch this. And the guys were horrible. You know, I got some thick skin by being on a building site. That was about 2006. I came out my time. And by, you know, thank the gods, bloody, the recession came, which were good for a lot of people. But that meant I'd just come out my time and all the sites had closed down. There was no work, nothing like that. So... I kind of give me a chance to take stock and think, I don't want to do this. I'd do it now. They're making good money, brickers, in the summer. It's great, you know.
But fortune now.
At the time, I was like, you know, I was 17. I was green. I was naive. I didn't know what a day's work was. And I was like, oh, fuck this, you know. I was just wanting to, you know, you'd get your money. I was on good money for, you know, third year apprentice at 19 or something. You're getting, you know, decent money a week. And I'd, you know, it'd be go out Friday, go out Saturday, Sunday, you know. Suicide Sunday. I still want right by Monday to be back again, and I hated it. So yeah, that happened. I came out my time, and I was like, right, I was too slow. There was no way I was going to be on price, walling bricks, making money. So yeah, my mum. So going on with my mum, she went from working in a chippy and doing all this to actually doing community work. She won a Community Pride Award. My mum, you know, it's quite a big deal. She won this Community Pride Award. So she was like youth working in our area, because loads of little, you know, there was a lot of poverty and antisocial behaviour. So I was, by that point, a bum. You know, I was smoking weed. I was not doing anything. I was signing on job seekers allowance, you know, thinking, oh, it's all right, easy money, you know. I remember one day she came into my room and she said to me, God, I don't know, sorry, how long you got? We haven't even got to the flooring yet. This is 19. We've got to get to 30 before I start flooring. So, like, she came into my room and she said, right, get out of bed, you know, like the estate where I'm from, Pottery Lane and Bell Farm, you know, it's quite well known. And I knew a lot of the younger lads because I knew the brothers, knocked about with them. So she said, right, come on, we've got a big York football tournament going on. You know, I've organised this football tournament with all the different youth clubs and, you know, and it was all of the kind of low socio-economic areas, you know, kind of poor areas where, so there's obviously loads of like little, you know, little screws, little reprobates around. So she was like, you can manage a team, you can manage. So obviously I managed a team And I knew the lads really well anyway. And I was like, so getting involved and stuff with the kids. I thought, oh, this is good. And then, yeah, cut a long story short, one of the bloody Belfam lads from my estate, we had 2 teams, so it was one of the other teams. They'd gone and bloody cracked, we've gone and punched one of the lads on the other team. And it was from an area called Clifton. Now, Clifton's a bit of a rough and ready area. It was anyway, you know, back in the day. So this guy, this little lad, he's about 14, he's lost his head. He's kicking off. He's like, there's all these youth workers going, oh, I can't remember his name now, whatever. Ricky, it's okay, calm down. You know, he's like, oh, God. He was going crazy, I swear, you know. And he managed to get this metal bar thing from this goal, because it was only 5 a side, and it was like pop-up goals. He managed to get a bit of metal off. He was running around with this bit of metal. I thought, oh, Christ, I'm going to have to go and say something. They're talking to him. They're not on his level. Like, how would I want to be spoken to like that? Not like, calm down, you've been. So I ran up to him. I said, hey, mate, come on. I says, look, I know you feel embarrassed. He's cracked you. I said, you're on your own here. He's with all his mates. I said, you don't look like an idiot or out like that. You know, there's 10 of them. There's 1 of you. All your mates have ran off. You know, I said, come on. I said, let's go to this club. It was a clubhouse, you know. There's like a gym with a bar. I said, let's go over there. Let's go in there, mate. I'll get you a J2O. I promise you, mate. You know, you've stood up to him. You've done your bit. Let's go and have a J2O. And he came with me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, he's come with me. I got him in there, diffused it. So then this manager sort of came up to me and said, wow, you know, you're really good. And, you know, these are all these things that I'm mentioning because I feel like they're relevant to why I feel I've done well in this floor, like transferable skills, people skills, yeah.
Hopefully no metal bars or like customers chasing you down the driveway.
Oh no, it'd be the other way around with some of them, you know. Can you just do you like this colour? No, actually, you know. So yeah, anyway, so cut a long story short, I did that for a bit, doing youth work, so I learned a lot. Yeah, I was working then. I just worked my way up. I was working for the Ministry of Justice, working with some of the worst offenders in the country, you know. But the money was rubbish. You know, you're a support worker, and you'll always stay that way because you're good at what you do. Not much career progression, and at this point, I'm sorry, I need to do something. But anyway, I met my missus, who I'm still with now, 11 years ago, and she was in Manchester. So I thought, right, I'm ready to leave York now. You know, I just thought I'm ready to spread my wings. So she was in uni. I met her. She'd left uni. First job she got offered, she took it because, you know, it's like leaving uni. You know, might not get a job. No. You know, some people still don't.
Some don't, yeah.
Yeah. So she took the first job that she was kind of offered. It was in Manchester. Made a start there. Anyway, carried on doing the youth work, but I ended up just working in children's homes. Working in his kids' homes, children's home, I was on like £6 an hour. They stopped paying you at 11 o'clock because it was a private one, so it was like a privately run one. So you know, it wasn't like a local authority. They had all like 4x4. They had Land Rovers, it's a good little money maker, let me tell you. You know, but they, you know, to be fair to them as well, they did care about the kids, but you know, we were on crap money. So at that point, I knew I was thinking, I need something else now. I'm 25, 26 now. So the seed was planted, you know, I need something more than this. And also, they stopped paying you at 11. These kids go missing at 1 in the morning. You've got to go out and find them. And I was going in, you know, we had girls who were really at risk or going through child sexual exploitation. So bad stuff. I'd have to go pull them out of a crack den in a really bad part of Manchester where these guys who are in these houses, they don't give a shit who you are. I had my lanyard on. They just think you're like a social worker or you're one of them. You know, it was very scary stuff. And I'd have to really it was I had to just hide the fear that I was going into somewhere that something could happen to me and be like, nope, come on, what's your name? So come on, Emily. It's not what she's called. You come in with me, come on, need to get, you know, and I would do it. You know, so I just thought, no, I'm not getting paid for this. No. You'd get a sleep wage, which was 30 quid or something. She was asleep and never was. So, right. So that was that. So we bought an house, me and the missus in Manchester. Then I seen the estate agent. He pulls up, you know, cool mank, nice car. I thought, showed me around the house, having a bit of a laugh and a joke with us. I was like, oh, I can do that. And that's kind of what I thought, I can do that. So I got a job as an estate agent, right? So in Manchester, I ended up being, look, I'm obviously very humble. I ended up being amazing at it. I know it was amazing because it was tangible. They'd release, it was for a corporate agent, so the nationwide and very salesy, mate. Training, you name it, the whole feel, felt, found, you know, oh, Mr. Smith, is that how I can understand how you feel, and Mr. X felt like that, but what he found was this, you know, to try and, you know, get them and all the spiel, all the scripts, and I was just really good at it through my youth work. I was just really good at empathizing or knowing what people wanted, finding stuff out about people, but I became a bit immoral with it as well because, you know, you'd find stuff out. I didn't even have kids at the time. You'd be like, you find soft facts out about them. You got any kids? Yeah, me too. I didn't have a kid, but me too. Oh, nightmare. Oh, I'm knackered. Do you know what I mean? And so I was so good. It was top on sales, viewings, mortgage appointments, booking in the valuations, which is the most important thing, because if you can't get the house on the market, that's the key to all the business. The seller pays the edge. So I was great and top of all the league tables. I learned a lot. Then I got kind of recruited to a more independent agent in a really affluent part of Manchester called Didsbury. So blah blah. It's a long one. This
keep going.
Yeah. So what had happened there was I got really good at sales and I was really good with people as well, and also marketing. We had to market houses. We had to market properties, and I got to know that a house won't sell, and I'd be able to go into Rightmove through the back door and see the data, the click-through rates. I used to love data, analysing, and sometimes you just do one thing, like take a better picture where it was a sunny day and it wasn't raining and it didn't look gloomy, and there was, all right, the house has been on the market for 4 months now, we've got leaves on the trees, it was winter. I'd take a different picture and then you'd see the stats go up and the phone would ring, and I was just so amazed by little details like that. And then not only that, I was dealing with clients who were money people, investors, and that's really what planted the seed. There was people, I'd always ask them, because it was part of the job, what do you do? Get your soft facts, find out about what they are. They're more likely to, people by people, which I'll keep repeating that mantra, they're more likely to, come back to you. It's a bit of a, you're a salesman and that kind of thing, and you got to let them know you're a bit human, and even though you're probably half the time lying just to. So, but I'd meet all these different people who were in Manchester, millionaires, investors. Some of them couldn't even write, but they were fucking great. Excuse my language. It was great with money. They knew a go to buy, Del Boys type thing. There were Mancunians, there was posh. I'd always ask them what they did. And you know what, mate? There was some people that one guy laughed and said, I sell paper clips. All right. He imports stationery from China, but paper clips and this. Millionaire. Other guy, what do you do? Sell fruit and veg. All right. He had a big fruit distribute, but it all started somewhere. And I thought, these guys are, they inspired me. I was like, right, I'm going to start something now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start something. These guys are all doing it. If you want to make money, work for yourself. I know that I was so good at the youth work. I knew that I was so good at selling. I was the top, and I thought, I can do this. I just had a real big, the beer's going to make me burp. I had a real big self-belief, I had a real big self-belief in myself because, I was, I guess by this point I was getting on. I was about 27, 28 or whatever, and I was starting to look, I am capable. I'm doing well here. And I started to really believe in myself. And just going to have a swig of this. Sorry, it's not very audio friendly. So I guess, right, so from there, I thought, right, I wrote a list. What do I want to do? And it was I started thinking of things, I was going to set up an online agent, because that was at the time where high street agents, there was not many online agents. This was 2017. There were Purple Bricks had popped up or whatever, but there wasn't that many. And I identified a place in Manchester. It was growing and growing, and it was great for investors, great for first-time buyers. And the thing with an online agent is, all you need is a website, and people to trust you. But I could do that. And I was going to sell this, but my missus, and I understand, I was with her. She said, Danny, I don't like the person you're becoming. Let's just say I got a bit Wolf of Wall Street, I mean, the friends I was meeting, it was always go for a few beers after work. It ended up, we're all, 10, and thinking we're all, I don't know what we thought we were. The missus were happy with it. And, she said to me, don't like the person you're becoming, don't like it. I kind of thought, oh, I don't like the sound of this. She's kind of, if I carry on, that's that. I thought, I bought an house with her. So anyway, I thought, right, I'm not going to do it. I made a list. So, right, online agent, no. Could maybe make money, but no. A lot of hours, no. And then I've got another hobby. I like picking locks, right? Which is probably a bit. I
love it.
I know. So much so, this. I'm going on a tangent here, but the client, this is honest to God's truth. I've got 2 pictures of him that I sent him. I'll show you as God's honest truth. I like to talk to people. Yeah. Talk a glass eye to sleep. That's what once people have said to me. I told him, and it's a similar story. No wonder I got the floor sanded. He asked how I got to where I was. I told him this exact story, and he said, I've got 2 locks I need you to pick. One of them was a money safe that he'd lost the key for, and one of them was a post box he'd lost the key for. Anyway, picked him for him. Poof, did it, you know. So anyway, so I thought, oh, right, I like picking locks. I'd buy locks online and do it. Just like people do Sudoku, whatever it's called, or people do crosswords. People play whatever, you know, online bingo.
You pick locks?
I pick locks, yeah. You know, I didn't mention the fact that at one point before the youth work, I got arrested for car theft as well. You know what I mean? So that's how I ended up working with kids, because my mum was like, you know, come on, work with these kids, you know, kind of thing. You've been there, you've done it. You know, you need to steer them on the right path, and that's when she brought them. So yeah, sorry, but hey, I'm clean now. A long time ago. So anyways, into picking locks, and then I thought I could be a locksmith, but I thought about it and I thought, oh, hang on a minute. No one really wants the locks. No one who gets locked out of their house. Everyone pissed. 4 a.m. You got an emergency line, and yeah, you could probably charge him premium, but some pissed up some drunk moron's gonna be like, look, tell me I have to go there and unlock 4 a.m, get out of bed. And so I thought, no, I'm not gonna do that. And anyway, the next door neighbours to us had just had their floor sanded. It was only a smallish living room. It was like 2 beds, like semi in Manchester, 15 square meters or something. They were like over the fence. They said, oh, we just had a quote to have our floor, like you do, chatting over the fence with the neighbours. We just had a quote to have our floor sanded. They said like 550 quid. Like, that's going to believe it, you know. And I was like, ping, that was it. I was like, right, that's it. Floor sanding, that looks brilliant. And we'd had our floors done by the same guy. That's why they was telling us, because we recommended it. We got ours done by this person. And they must have waited about a year or so, and the price had gone up, you know, like the prices go up. And they're like, you know, and I remember watching him do it. And he turned up. He didn't say a lot, you know, but he turned up. He said, yeah, what do you want? Yeah, sand and lacquer. Yeah, great, you know. And then he put his headphones in and just started sanding. And I was just mesmerised watching him start the machine, old pine boards. And he just ran his machine over on that first cut. And it was like, bang, look at that. You know, like everyone says to me now, oh, wow, it's done after your first cut. They're like, oh, wow. You're like, yeah, I've got another day here, mate. You know, this is just a 24 grit, you know. But I was like, wow. So that was it. And again, I have this, maybe it's misplaced courage or confidence, but I thought, I can do that. So that's how it started, mate. So there you go. Who's down there? There you go. That's who I am. That's who I am.
When you decided to set the business up, what was your first setup? Because I've got a good story with this. No, actually, I'm going to tell you my story first.
Yeah, because I've spoken too long here.
So I had a Citroen Saxo VTS that was on coilovers, really low down the floor, big exhaust, had the big bore 4 on the back. And I got bought out of my flooring business that I was with a business partner. And I went down B&Q in Darlington and bought a Makita Hoover, a Makita sander, a load of sandpaper, and I put some adverts out, and I won a job.
Without doing it, how hard can it be?
I think I actually didn't. I put some leaflets out around Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And this lady, 50s floorboards, only had what was it? Only had paint on it, so it looked an easy job. So I think I charged her 1,200 quid, something like that. Yeah. So I thought, I'm in here.
Printing money.
250 quid for the sandpaper, 1,000 quid in a week. I'm like, I'm in here.
Yeah.
But remember,
booking the holiday to Jamaica, to Barbados, you know.
But remember, I only had bought with the money I'd got when I'd been bought out, I only had a Makita orbital sander. And I spent 4 days with knee pads, 60, 80, 120, 240, like literally with this 160 quid sander that was amazing at the time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't know how to put lacquer on. And I'm like, I remember thinking, and I went to like a friend, I went to this person, went to that person. And I actually remember putting on Ronseal diamond glaze because you can't get it wrong. And the woman was happy with it, but it was the worst 5 days of my life. I got paid off that job and did some other floor fitting, but ended up buying a higher tech sander. But that's why I'm asking, what was your first rig and how much it cost you?
I love it, mate. Oh, what a question.
That was painful for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on my worst. You could use that as a punishment for, like, you know, criminals or, you know, like Japanese prisoner of war torture, innit? So my first setup was, so I thought I was going to be a sander without, like, I've never, ever done it, but I was just like, I can do that, you know, and there's something about having that confidence in yourself. It does go a long way. Pride does come before a fall, and you will make mistakes, you will learn the hard way, but I thought, I can do that. go on YouTube. Because how many times have you done DIY now? And it's like, all right, with your car, something's up with your car, go on YouTube. Oh, yeah, I'm a mechanic now, you know,
How
whatever.
do you turn the service light off?
Yeah.
Bosh, done.
Yeah, wow, you know, oh, what, how to put a curtain rail up, or I've done so much, you know, with buying the house of the missus and doing the work. I was like, oh, I've learned how to do that. So I've learned I'll do it on YouTube, you know. I came across this channel, How to Sand a Floor. The guy now has become a friend of mine. So shout out to Ben Osborn. If you know, he needs to come on. You need to do a chat with Ben Osborn because I love the lad. He's like the Simon Cowell of the wood floor world. And I hope you don't mind me saying this. I think Ben Osborn's on the spectrum a bit. I tell him I think he's a bit Asperger's because he's got such an amazing mind. He can communicate too, but he's so blunt. He's so upfront. You know. So anyway, I watched his videos. Me being the happy-go-lucky chap I am, found out his name. Found him on Facebook, messaged him. Hi, mate, I've seen your videos, blah, blah. I'm looking to get into this on my own, you know what I mean? I remember he shut me down. So he was like, well, that's a bit disingenuous, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to start charging people. And he had a point. I thought, yeah, he's got a point. You're going to start charging people for work you've never done. You know, he's like, you know, mate, it's a bit risky, you know, you to pull it off. So I thought, yeah, the lad's got a point. So what I did do, before I even get to my setup, was I thought, right, well, I've got wood floors at home. Drove the missus mad, right? For 3 weeks maybe. I sanded and finished my lounge floor and my kitchen floor. There was like, you know, 8 times or something, you know. Honestly, higher tech machines?
Tech,
the higher machines.
Dreadful.
And, tell me about it. Learn the hard, but if you learn on that, it can only get better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like a dream.
So I came back to him 3 weeks, and I am a quick learner, like I say. It's part of like I do my own branding, my own web. I love doing it. I did my own website. I do my own logos. Sometimes I think if you can't do it, so outsource it to someone that can, you know, definitely. But I love doing that. That's like something I really enjoyed. So I managed to get these floors looking banging. So there I am, proud as punch. Sent them to Ben Osborn on Facebook Messenger. Like, here we go, mate. What do you think of this? He was like, that's actually quite impressive, Danny. You know, he was like, all right. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. He said, but still, mate, he said, going out and trying to sand people's floors, like you've just done, you know, a few floors in your house, you know, it's a try and get on with somebody locally. So what I did was, there's this company in Manchester, I'll say the name, called New Life Floor Care. They're good, they're smashing it, they charge a good price, they do all kinds, they've got all bases covered, you know, they know, you know, but I thought, well, I went on Google, floor sanding jobs, you know, like you'd find one, but something came up, a floor sanding apprentice. So I went for the interview. I thought, here we go. Because I was always going to move back to York. After 10 years in Manchester, I thought, I miss home. And I was like, right, I'll learn here, move back to York. I'm not then stepping on his toes or whoever's taught me, set up in York. So I went for the interview, smashed it, you know, and then they turned around and said to me, right, you will move on to sanding floors, but it'll be in a couple of years. We will get you on that because, of course, I get what they were saying. They said, you only get one shot at wood. If you know, mess up, the client's out, or whatever. So we're going to have you first cleaning tiles, which again would have been still for me beneficial to a degree, you know, because it's another string to your bow. But it was cleaning toilets, if I'm being honest with you, mate. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, you got me. I was like, oh, I said thanks, but no thanks. You know, the carrot was there, and there would have been that option to do it. But I guess they wanted someone to prove the worth by getting them, you know, on that to start with.
Scrubbing the bogs. Right?
Yeah, that's what it was. If I'm being honest, I was like, no thanks, but no thanks. So I'm like, right, there goes that then. All right, I'm going to have to just bloody, you know, freestyle it. I'm going to have to. So anyway, so my setup, so I thought, right, can't sand floors without no machines. Can't start turning up with a higher machine. So look on eBay, and I saw Lagler. So there's a Lagler there. I've heard of Lagler. It was a 1988 Lagler Elf. Lagler Elf. So it wasn't even a Hummel.
No.
It was a drum sander. Anyway, it was some like cronies in Leeds, or I picked it up off. And you know, the drum didn't even have any sort. The drum was just metal, you know, and it had like a yoga mat wrapped around it, right? Like a foam mat. Every time this yoga mat would break, I'd just buy another yoga mat off eBay and just sell it to, you know, contact adhesive it back on. So I thought, well, that was working. So I've got the 1988 Lagler Elf. Ben Osborn, bless his cotton socks, he said to me, he started, obviously, I got in there with him a bit, and we were getting mates. And he said to me, right, Danny, I've got some old gear here. I've got a Bonner XL Edger, which is brilliant, you know, a great little edger at the time as well. And you've got a Bonner XL Edger. I've got Festool Rotex. I didn't know what that was. He said, I've got a pneumatic buffer here. All of these with your machine, you'll be able to get by.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I drove down to Ben down south. He's in Letchworth or whatever he is, down south near Stevenage way. Drove down, met Ben, got the gear, give him good. He didn't charge me much, So that was that. I had the setup. But then I had this edger and it had the Shuko plug and it wasn't you couldn't just plug, you don't plug in it. It needs a Shuko, like a German Euro. I know what they are now. They're like the German, almost like 110 plugs out there. And I thought, I don't know what to do here. I had no idea. So then I went and Googled and I thought, right, back to square one. I'm going to have to try and find a local sander rather than try to get it. And I rung up, found this local sander called One Stop Floor Sanding, Dave Butterworth. And he's a funny old guy, and so I said to him, look, mate, I've got this edger here. At the time, him and Ben had fallen out. They've since made up and stuff, but at the time, him and Ben had fallen out. You won't mind me saying this. It was a public spat via Instagram. We'll probably touch on that later. It was a public spat over a joke that wasn't well received or whatever. They'd fallen out. So I rung up Dave. This is why I think he told me to come with him. Well, one for me saying this, he probably would have said, well, piss off. But I rung him and I said, oh, hiya, mate, I've got this edger. I'm just going to learn to start sanding the floor. I've got this edger. What cable goes in it? I don't know what it is. Have you got a cable I can buy off you? I'll pay good money. I don't know what. He said, what is it? Like Bonner XL is, oh, yeah, I have, yeah. He's like, so have you sanded the floor before? I said, no, but I've been watching these videos on YouTube. He's like, oh, how not to sand a king floor? He said, right, you want to learn how to sand the floor? Come with me. Anyway, and so I was with him for about 2 months or so. And, he's just such a funny character. He tells you how it is. He just, so he would just say, what the fuck, excuse my language, I don't want to swear to him. What the bloody hell are you playing? Danny, what are you doing? And sometimes he'd be like, Danny, go to the van and get me this, that, and the other. And I'd be like, I don't even know what that is. So I'd go to the van. He'd say himself, he's so impatient. I'd literally get to the front gate and he'd come charging up behind me, barge me out of the way and go, Danny, you're too slow. Get out of the way. He's like, I got under his little, that persona. And you know what? There's so many good sides to him as well. There was so many, he was just that's just the type of guy he was. And he taught me a lot. So Dave, from One Stop, he wants to do the good work and be like, this is what I can do. That's why I'm a bit like that. I kind of got that from him. At the time as well, I was also recommended Dave Watson from Grand Parquet, who he has he's like a god to me, in terms of what he has been the integral part of my success. I couldn't have done it without him, and we'll touch on that later. I could not have done it without him, but I couldn't have done it without Ben Osborn as well a little bit. And then also they were the three people who really, you need to have these people. I couldn't have done it on my own. So yeah, in the end, cut a long story short, I started getting mates with Butterworth. We'd go for a few parts, get under his, got to know him. He'd start saying, "Are you quiet, Danny?" I'd learn. He started doing these really fancy oiling pine boards. It's not easy.
No.
Sanding's got to be bang on. But he'd do it and I'd see him do it. So I just thought it was normal. So I started doing oiling floors with a Lagler Elf, no finishing sand or nothing. I was just oiling floor. I thought that was it. Anyway, in the end, I think he took pity on me a bit and he'd be like, he got too much work. You could shake a stick at. He's just one man. He'd be like, hey, Danny, there's a job here. Do you want it? You're busy. I'd be like, no. He'd be like, well, there's a job. And I'd be like, right, I'll tell you what then, mate. How much have you told them? They're like, 500 quid. It's only small. I said, well, look, call it, tell them I'll do it. Tell them you're busy. I'll do it for 600 and I'll give you 100 quid, for the lead.
Yeah,
That's how business works. Money, because I remember in estate agency, no one will do nothing if they don't get a kickback, So I said, here's a kickback. So give me a few more. And there you go. So that was that. So I was outstanding floors with a Lagler Elf, 1988, and I was doing 2K oils on these floors. Don't ask me how. I've done some amazing jobs with that sander. So it's almost like when I finally got a Hummel and a Flexi Sand, it was like, it's like, yeah, it's like, Muhammad Ali would box with, divers, scuba diver, flip-flop, what are the scuba diver shoes?
I know what you mean, yeah, absolutely.
Whatever they are, because he'd box and shadow box, because then when he got out of them, he was faster on his feet, and I almost feel like by learning through the hard way and ploughing on, and the drum sander would explode because the paper was crap.
Yeah, I felt all of this pain.
You know it.
So you then, I'm assuming you then sold the house in Manchester and then moved to York.
Yes.
And how does the business look now?
Yeah.
Like we'll miss out the middle bit, the
Yeah.
learning and the
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll bore you.
I'll come back to maybe the biggest cock up, but let's go for what does it look like right now,
Right.
today,
So,
tomorrow.
you know, I had that good chance. I was able to have a draft run at a business in Manchester. Called it Hands on Deck, as what Toza touched on. And I was able from that point to go back to York and start afresh. I'd learned Google, I'd learned search engine, I love learning it. While I was sanding floors, I've got my earbuds. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, we're live and direct.
We're not going to do beer again.
No, no. You have to do wine.
I know.
We'll get on the gin. Oh dear. So yeah, what is it? So I had that over. So I learned it all. I love it. I love putting the earphones in. I love learning. I was listening to all this stuff about how to sort my website out, you know, H1 tags at the time. Now Google, they don't, SEO's dead. Google just say pay us and we'll make sure you get seen. Yeah. And because they realised, hang on a minute, there's, you know, we can just cut out all these middlemen, SEO gurus and or whatever. Or, well, no, it's still relevant. You do still have to do some little things and stuff. So it is. But Google in the end had AdWords. It just kind of blew a lot of that market away of like, you know, you still get the guys messaging you, we can get you more of this on Google. But yeah, so I'd learned it all. I'd listened to I'll be sanding 7 hours a day and I would just have my earphones in and then my ear defenders over it. Listen to our podcast as well, doing it, listen to, whatever podcast, history, all this stuff. But at the time, it was all about growing. All I wanted to do by this point was prove to the world, prove I could do it. So, yeah, so I had the chance to rebrand Sandhouse. It was like starting, I hit the ground running. I knew what I was doing, no mistakes. What my business looks like now is, you know what? I'm getting my phone. I'm busy. I've had lads. At one point, I had 4 lads. I'm back to being on my own. I'm a bit OCD, maybe. I'm probably not the best person to work under. Don't employ your friends. That's one thing. I've got a different standards. There's different people when they work for you. They've got a different mentality. And I'm back to being on my own. And again, we'll touch on I had a baby. Yeah. So we could talk about all that changes things at some point. So what it is now is, without sounding too smug, they're at the point I always wanted to be at where the phone rings, the website inquiries come in, the Instagram inquiries come in and the Facebook ones, and I pick the best. Yeah. I could take the cream off the crop. Some I'd pick people like, Danny, why are you doing that? But I do it because to challenge myself. Sometimes I will still oil a floor, or I'll do something that's good money, or whatever, or it'll just be, I'll do that then, or, but on the whole, I get like, I get so many recommendations now, and that's just gone. And I've been doing stately homes. I've just been out to a castle to look at, not far from here, actually, Bolton Hall or something. It's not far. Leyburn, yeah. So, I haven't quite took that job on yet because it's a nightmare. But she knows I'm managing expectations. I learned to manage expectations, not overpromise. So now I feel like, without blowing my own trumpet, I've got a good online presence. I feel like I'm well respected in the community.
He gets one.
Oh, what a good lad he is.
So everyone on the podcast, we're just ordering more beer from our support team. So if you wonder what that was, we're ordering beer. You
got Sarah there working after hours, tapping away. You got a lot of beers. Oh, this is the dream, isn't it? Hey, I'm well impressed with this. Thank you so much, mate. There he is. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Rob. Right. So is it mainly residential, commercial? Are you working for Mrs. Smith?
Yeah.
Is that what the game is? So that's what you're doing?
Again, so through trial and error, like, I don't really like working for third parties. I just, builders are like, some are really good and they're invested, and I work for architects. Yeah. Architects, I've got a lot of architects who know who I am now, who ring me up, like this Bolton Hall one. That all started because I worked on a job called Brockfield Hall. It's a stately home in York. I did some of my best work there, reclaimed Georgian floorboards, top nailed, white oiled. They had a 400-year-old quarter sawn, triple herringbone, like English oak floor. It had not been sanded for 60 years just to re-oil it. I painted I sanded some floorboards, filled them, and did a checkerboard. Right. Okay. That was one of the hardest jobs I've ever. Because he'd never do it, but I did it. I challenged myself, and that was one of them where. And so the client. I'm not hopefully dying. I'm sure, I don't think it's a secret, but she is an editor for Home and Garden magazine. So all about the finish for her. So she loved the fact that, I'm so, autistic about the detail and the finish. And, and then her architect would come around and speak to me, and he had a real eye, and he liked it. It's called Rupert Cunningham. He's great. He does some great work. See his Instagram. He's in. Oh man, he's just every single house is like Downton Abbey. He goes to, but he's a good architect. You know.
Have you done the architects' houses? Because they're
Yes.
they're funny ones.
Damn right I
They
have.
always want like solid wood with
Yeah.
like a creamy white that isn't white, that might be white, that could be matte, that isn't matte, or they've got a spec and they want to use.
You've hit the nail
Oh,
on the head.
in 1988 we used to use this thing called something.
It's
and
not
it
made
used to-
anymore.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I want that. Well, they
Yeah.
don't make that anymore, but I want that though. And it's like, well, like they used to spec all the old solid Junkers and stuff like that in residential.
yeah.
Like, look, we're not in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
go-
totally.
So have you done any of them?
Yes, I have done an architect's floor. We got Matt from Template Architects. He's a guy from Leeds. So they all see. So yeah, I actually fitted him a parquet floor, and I would agree with you there. Matt, bless him. He just like, can I just borrow you? Can I just say? But he's an architect, and that's what I loved. He's pushing me to do the best work I have. He's got high standards. Like there's no cutting corners here.
No.
You know, it's almost like you're in. You know, you're in there with the guys who have the eye. So. It's like nowhere to hide. There's no blagging, you know, can't blag them, you know. So I enjoyed it. So yeah, so I'm getting now, like I say, I've got these people. You build up your client base, and so I'm not too big for my boots. I will still go and sand up some pine boards for, you know, Wayne and Debbie, first time buyers who don't have a lot of money, and you know, I can be, you know, if I feel sorry for someone, sometimes I can do them a better price. Whereas if I know they've got the dough, I can give them the price.
The estate agent.
Yeah. You know, I'll never hammer anyone though, because I'm always aware, and I'm aware of my competition. I do what I feel is fair. You know, sometimes if you can make 500 quid in a day, then don't be greedy. That's another thing. The more you push it, I've realised this. So when I was pushing price, 30, one point I was 30, I was 35, then I was 40 a square metre, and then I was going higher. But when you start going higher from like a certain sweet spot, they'll start picking snags, or they'll start the slightest thing. They'll start like, hang on, you know. So it's just finding that sweet spot, and it's knowing your competition, knowing what they are, knowing what maybe the painter and decorator with the higher machine is, and also knowing your worth. I'm not trying to say that I'll go cheap to get the job, because I don't have to now. I'm literally, the phone rings, I've got a good reputation, you know, like I say, I get a good price, but I'm always fair, you know what I mean? Like, say if I'm like working on 40 a square metre or something, and it might come to 645, I'll say, well, I'm at this, it's 40 a square metre, 645, call it 6 then. You know what I mean? Give them a little wink, and, you know, I'm happy, they're happy. So yeah, so that's what Sandhouse now is good. It's going as good as it can. I'm at capacity. I've tried everything. I've tried fitting the floors. I've had a team. I've gone back down. You've got to do what works for you. Like I say, I like working alone. And my hat says lone wolf, you know what I mean? I'm a lone soldier. I like working alone. I like being in control, man. I like it. So,
And
yeah.
do you think the birth of baby Sandhouse has calmed you down?
Little Bobby? Yes.
Do you think that's wound you
Yeah.
back in and calmed you down? Is that
Totally. So, yeah, I must confess, I was a massive weed head. You know, I used to smoke a lot of cannabis. Since having him, you know, it's a complete game changer. You can't be stoned at 3 in the morning when it's a feed, or, you know, and just for his sake now,
No.
I want to be a great dad. You know, I'm told you I missed out on having a dad. I want to be the best dad. I'm having another, by the way, in July. Well, I'm not, but she is. Yeah, so we've got another one coming, another little boy. And so, you know, yes, as I was running so I mean, I used to turn up to jobs like fucking stoned. I'd smoke on weed on the jobs, you know. And the clients wouldn't, like, they'd kind of, even this Brockfield Hall job, I remember once I thought it was Coastal Scare, I was having a spliff, and she came like, Danny, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. She was like blowing in her face. She was like, could I just borrow you for a walk, you know? And in the end, she didn't care, because the work was there, and I'd just make a joke and say, it keeps me in the zone, you know. But I think my work would speak for itself so much that I wouldn't advise that to anybody, like I say, at all. In fact, I would not advise it at all. But because I think I was a little bit unorthodox, there's like, I think we were saying this earlier, I think maybe we'll, touch on it, like, people will sort of, you know, you do your videos where you give like good advice, or I'll do, but someone will always say, that's not how you do it, or you don't do it like that, you know. And it's like,
let's go on to that then. Dan.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's.
I don't know what the question, but you're having a baby. Basically, I was running 2 businesses. I had 4 lads. I was fitting floors. Now I'm just sanding them. There you go. That's that
The
one.
baby's calmed you down.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
But I think on the podcast we get asked. Well, no, I asked the question of what's the biggest problem, and a few lads have answered. Mainly the contractors, maybe not the bigger boys, but the contractors on the ground. everyone fits a floor differently. Everyone sands a floor different. Everyone runs a business differently.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems maybe in the flooring industry is the social media bullying. I'm gonna label it as people's opinions and people's dick swinging. That's probably
Totally. Lynch mobs, a bit like a lynch mob in it sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, we didn't, sorry.
It's not.
Well, we didn't touch on, I'd never met you, and I'd felt like I'd formulated an opinion, and you know, at the time, you know, and you never met me, and you know, I guess like,
And you dropped a couple of videos that.
Shots fired. Well, no, listen, I'm on this podcast now. I was going to start a podcast, weren't I?
There was rockets over the bow.
There was rockets, yeah. There was, you know, get you know, take cover. No, I was. So, you know, that just shows you. This is like proof, I believe, how sometimes they don't even always listen to others' opinion or just formulating opinions due to that social media influence or WhatsApp groups, which can be really toxic places at the minute. They can be really helpful, really toxic. So I had somehow formulated this opinion that I thought like, you know, I'm in one of these, I'm one of the lads. And, you know, I thought, oh, there's a podcast now. I bet it's just going to be bloody, you know, people that want to sell us stuff or things like that. And I was wrong, you know, I started listening. I didn't even know you were. I thought, well, I'm going to do a podcast then. Didn't do it 'cause I'm too busy. I had a kid. And actually, I started listening to yours and I thought, you know what? You start to feel like you get to know someone. I've never spoken to you before formulating these opinions. It's such a naive thing to do. You know, I've seen this place here. It's like, wow, it's brilliant. And then you realise then that maybe people are projecting jealousy or not so much, or just why didn't I think of it all, like just negativity and things like that. And I didn't, by listening to quite a few. I've listened to the one with Peter from KHR, Miss My Hardwood, you know, Nikki, the one even the other week now, Scott Fraser, good old Scott from Elite Floor. It's funny that, you know, he's a funny guy. And I loved it. And you know, I realised then, you know, bloody hell, you're doing a flooring podcast. You're going to have suppliers on. You're going to have floor men and women on, floor guys and gals, you know. And I was listening. I felt like by you being up standing the floor, I'm listening, you're in my ears, and I'm like, this Tom in what I thought he is. He's all right. He's not bad. And I messaged you to say, credit where it's due. I was wrong or whatever, you know.
And then what we did was, I said, well, get yourself on a podcast then, because as I've always said when we launched this product, it is for everyone. If you're in the flooring industry, you come on. So a bit of a plug there. If anyone wants to come on, just message, you can come on.
Get on it. Get some beers.
And that's what. So the message on the podcast that I want to get about is, I keep seeing it across sanding. Obviously, the sanding, the wood guys have their own little, let's say, groups.
Cliques.
Yeah, the carpet lads, the LVT lads. And there's just no need to take that. This is evidence of, I'm going to say, let's say, an individual taking the piss out of someone else for doing something for their own whatever. But we then had an adult conversation and said, hang on, we're both from the fucking northeast.
Yeah.
Let's have a couple of beers and bash it out.
Yeah.
And then we're here 2 weeks later, and there was just no need. So
well, 6 months of negativity for what, you know? Yeah. But I started to realise, I think, by uncoupling myself from I left some of these groups, or, you know, and that's the other thing is, if you're going to put yourself out there and high, the collateral damage of that is people are going to try and be snipey. You know, I've just put a video up. It's got 50,000 views in 24 hours on Facebook, and I've already got the know-it-all Nigels or, you know, the DIY Daves. That's not how you do it. That's wrong. And I'm like, a professional wouldn't do that. I'm like, oh, well, fucking hell, then what do I know, you know? But yeah, here we are. Anyway, going on to, you know,
talk to me about reels, Danny. That's what I want to, right? Because, you know, we're all looking at, again, I've looked at your reels, and I've known, because we own a social media company, we own a digital marketing agency, so we charge for doing people's social media. But what I noticed by my own professional viewing, your reels get good traction, you know?
Yeah.
You drop something, it gets 200-300 likes. Other people drop something, they get 3 likes.
Yeah.
So give me a secret.
I've noticed, yeah, no, totally. That's the thing, you know, it's like, it is a dark art, isn't it? You're right. And you're totally right, mate. You're totally right. And listen, what I would say to anybody is, as you can tell, I'm not afraid to fail. I don't know if it's through my life. Like I said, the early years have been having nothing. I was on free school meals. We had no money, you know, having nothing. Or I don't know what it is, but I'm just not afraid to fail. And you know what? You will see some reels on there. I've probably just got 200. But it's like, don't feel if you put something out there, oh, no one wants to know it. Don't take it personally. If you throw enough mud at the wall, eventually something will stick. I said consistency. Learn, you know, adapt. I am a big believer in letting you and I am creative, like I've always said, like there's a bit of a creative, and if you find that you maybe not, some people like me, I can play guitar, I do all these different things, I do all these fans, my channel creativity and flaws and stuff. Some people aren't that right brain. It's like, it's all about your brain. Some people might be much more different in a different way. Like, everybody's got different, so if you didn't, then outsource it to someone that knows. If you really feel that, you're just not going to, but I do think that for me, it's like, so what's worked? Be yourself, but also look what other people are doing. So here's something, right? I noticed there's this guy or these guys, this team in America called Picasso Floor Design. They do get some numbers. They get 100, and they were smart. Here's the other thing I'll speak about reels. I got on the reel train a bit too late because of this pressure from snarky people. Oh, these reels, they're just, they're annoying. But this was just people in the game, again, projecting their own insecurities because they didn't want to do them. But if you were doing these reels early, Instagram was rewarding them, throwing them in people's feed because they're competing with TikTok. Yeah. They were really banging that drum for reels. So I did notice a little bit late, but I got on in the bus in time that, get on it. So I was watching this Picasso floor design, and if you look on someone's reels, on Instagram, on the grid, you can click on the play button, but then you just see reels, or you can just see photos. So on the Instagram interface, you can see there's pictures underneath the profile and whatever. There's like pictures, there's reels, and then there's tagged photos. You can click one of them tabs. The main feed will show your reels and your pictures together, but if you want to isolate them, you can just click on reels. You can see the numbers of views. Like you see, can't you? That's how you know how many views. You can see how many views that reel is getting. So this Picasso floor designer, I was like seeing them, right? Honestly, they just would they do 2 videos on repeat. They knew it. They cracked it. They would just gap fill in floors, parquet, something like ASMR, they call it, or cathartic about gap filling a floor, and cutting in with stain. Because everyone thinks it's a bit of a, oh, wow, you're there with paintbrush. You're using a solvent stain. It's not like paint. It's very thin in it. It goes underneath the skirting, so you can whiz and cut in. So in a way, I took inspiration from that, and I thought, right, I'm going to gap fill. So I just started looking at what is like relevant, what is current, like memes. They say, like, if you use a song that's trending, then it'll boost it a bit more if you use a trending song. Sometimes it'd be like, grab someone's attention in the first 3 seconds. So I've got one that's got like 40,000 views, I think, or something like that, where I'm doing someone's furniture. Because, I did fit some on the floor. It was a big job, loads of money. They had these handmade oak units, dead easy to sand. It took me like an hour, and I was doing them. But if I just have the video, it is quite good sometimes seeing you sat. They like to see that process, but you've got to put yourself in the eyes of a viewer as well, I think. Always put yourself in the eyes of someone sat there on the toilet, probably, looking at it. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. Because, and then, so what I did was I quickly edited, and Instagram make it really easy to, sort of easy-ish, if you know what, I did a quick picture of before, half a second, before, after, beep, and then me starting to sand it so that, they've got a context, right? There's it before, there's it after, and here he is sanding these units, and then the rest you can just show him sanding and doing the different things. And then, so it was almost like sometimes you've got to bait the hook up a little bit. Sometimes it's about having a bit of writing at the start, like wait till the end. It's a bit cringy because you have to, like I was saying earlier about different ways to do things, there's a bit of a script, and sometimes you have to be a bit cringe, and it'd be like, wait till you see the end result. You won't believe this. I don't quite do that, but you've still got to do something in principle, which, hook them, get them hooked. And so, and I was learning what did well. At first I was doing reels because I love the Beatles. I was putting the Beatles on there. They weren't doing that good because not everyone loves the Beatles, The minute I put some trending song on there and a few little, and then so it gets big. But sometimes I'm just being myself as well. People, I'm just giving sort of tips. Sometimes it's advice, how to check your wear layer on an engineered floor. Variety. Yeah. There's that old stupid thing. It's a bit cringe, but content is king. But it is.
It's going to keep it in here. That's what I've learned to think. I used to hate doing videos. I thought, I'm not doing videos. I'm not going on the camera. And now I just don't give a shit. I just exactly. I am which is part of the reason is that when we went on to that before, like, is he really this? Is he really? Yeah, that's just me. That's just I just don't care. But
you got to have a thick skin, haven't you? Because who cares what who cares?
People are like, oh well, I'll just do this with one reel, maybe do 100, not one. And if you fuck 5 up or whatever, so it's consistency. I like that.
Yeah, you keep doing it. Don't give up. Don't be be your own biggest critic, but also the yin and yang. Love yourself, hate yourself, critique yourself, but say, yeah, have confidence. Just do it. Don't be a Luddite. Like I don't know if I said, like Blockbusters is no more because Netflix did. They didn't move with the times, and there is so you got to move with the times. You got to do it whether you like it or not. Don't worry about your WhatsApp group. Don't worry about what in the game are saying. Half the time they're just a bit jealous, or why are you doing this, or why are you doing that. Be yourself. Go for it. If you don't get a lot of views, doesn't matter. Who cares? Keep going. Not every which ticket will be a winner. It's like a raffle. Buy a few tickets, man. Don't care.
The other thing interesting with social media, even though on the stats of how many views and things like that, and this podcast and all that, there's someone always watching that you don't know that's watching. That's like not in a bad way, like in a good way. There might be a customer that's been following you for years and years and years, and we've had them. I've been watching your floors for like 18 months, but I bought a house and now I need one, and it's like you just.
Totally,
so if you're not putting your stuff out, how the hell are you going to get found?
Mate, I get so much work through Instagram. Like, so much, yeah? Hashtags is another thing. There's another little tip, Hashtag your city. Hashtag, there's a lot of people with renovation accounts. Yeah, I got into these people, right? And they'd all follow each other. It would be like keeping up with the Joneses. And I knew it. Once I did Holly's, who was Holly at number 9, the little house on the hill would want theirs doing, because it's like, so I got into them, it's just like, and I guess that was looking for opportunities. That was the state agency that helped me do that. But yeah, totally, Tom, you're absolutely right. They feel like they know you before they even get you in the door. So half of your court is won because, oh my word, these beers, we're going to have to have you got any wine? Don't mix grape and the grain, buddy. Oh, that would be bad. So, but they already know me. I've already got the job. I just do not lose jobs. I do not
expect. Yeah,
I don't lose jobs, and that sounds such a cocky thing to say, but I just don't lose jobs. People feel like they know me. I immediately, on an inquiry, it comes in. If it's not through Instagram, send them my Instagram. And I link. You've got to link them all together one way or another. Use them to your advantage. And I don't pay. Not that because I get recommendations now. If I didn't and it was quiet, I would turn on AdWords because that's one way to get the phone ringing. Oh, you get a lot of crap, but you got to find the gold nuggets in the crap as well, but your phone will ring. AdWords is a guaranteed way, but yeah, through just by listen, if I could give people advice, definitely, be confident. Some of these reels that get 40,000 views, I might get like 40 followers or 30 followers a reel. All right, they're in Seattle or they're in India, but it just helps make your presence better. That you got a bigger following. When Sally, who wants you to do their floor, sees you've got 2,500 followers and you're just a wood floor sander, yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good numbers. Some have got many more.
You only need 2 or 3 in York or wherever your city is, and
totally,
it's a couple of grand. It's more. It could be 10.
Exactly.
So yeah,
totally. So yeah, there you go. There's the reels. I recommend everybody just go for it.
On the reels,
move with the times. Yeah, totally.
So, a couple of questions I want to ask, which are some of the old chestnuts on the podcast. What is the biggest fuck up you've done on a job? Hands down honest.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I am honest. If you don't know this by now.
What's the biggest one?
I was smoking copious amounts of cannabis on site, honestly, man. But honestly, with the way, like I said, a bit Asperger's, a bit ADHD, as you know, I talk a lot already. You've had it put, Tom, you've not got a word in edgeways. Yep. But it would just channel me down. It'll keep me, grounded for that respect. So, yeah, not advising everybody smoke weed. You'll probably throw away on the customer's floor. Anyway, but the biggest fuck up. So, going back to when I was fake it till you make it, winging it back in the day.
Yeah.
My second floor I ever sanded. So it was before I don't even think I'd got on with One Stop or whatever. I was still like getting what I could. And a mate of mine was in construction. He had a mate. And he said he needed his floor sanded. He was a big bodybuilder as well. He was massive. This guy from York. I was still living in Manchester. I drove back to do it while he was away. There's pictures all over his house where he's like that. There's trophies every.
Just for the podcast, Danny's now doing muscle pictures.
Yeah. For anyone not watching,
not watching you.
Get it on your TV. Come on, let me on your telly. We've made it. Yeah. So anyway, he's like that. He's a big guy. I think to make it more intimidating, I think he'd gone on a shooting holiday as well in Wales. So Anyway, engineered floor. So he had this dog, was his love of his life, this poor dog. It was an old dog though. And with dog comes urine, old dog, uncontrollable bladder.
Yeah.
3mm wear layer, which I didn't know at the time. You know where this is going, don't you?
Oh,
Black marks. So I thought, well, I've sanded a pine floor and I've got the black out. It's done white. You know, anyway, I thought, well, it's engineered. So I was smart enough to think, start, don't go, don't. So I started on an 80.
With it,
Yeah, I started on an 80 grade. I was like, yeah, all right, you've been too cautious there, Danny. I should have known by now. It was black all the way through. Second floor I've ever done. All right, Danny, drop to 60. No, let's try 40. Don't ask me what. This is where I learned a big lesson that day. I dropped to a 24 grit on a 3mm engineered floor, which was just knackered anyway. It was knackered, so it was like skinned it to the bone, sanded through it. Sanded through. I've never done any. That's my biggest fuck up. Never sanded through a floor since. Never done it. Learn. But that,
what happened with that job,
mate? I had to ring him. Huh? I'm there. I'm like this. And I'm like walking around pacing, you know that you know when you've ever, everybody makes mistakes, by the way, that's life. Yeah. But you know, you get that sickening feeling.
Yeah.
You could just be sick. I'm pacing around and I'm ringing him like that, you know, and then I'm ringing him, I'm looking like that. Oh shit, is there doing this with muscles? I thought, oh god, then I rung him and I just said, look, your floor's knackered, mate. I was like, your floor's knackered. I should have been honest, I give it a go, but I said, I've sounded through it, I've got to be honest. He was sound. He was all right. He said, yeah, I know it's knackered, mate. Just make it look as good as you can. His house was going on the market, you see, and he just wanted to tie it up to go on the market. He said, I'll put a plant pot there or something. Anyway, he put a new floor in to sell the house in the end. So he paid me, and he ended up feeling sorry for me, and he admired that I tried. A young lad turned up, had a go, and he gives me loads of referrals to this day. He's a builder. And he gives me referrals to this day, and he laugh at the journey now. You know how I'm the big I am. I know this, I know that. But I did his job and sanded through his floor. So there you go.
Love that.
That's probably as bad as it gets, mate. I've never gone through a pipe because I'm so terrified and OCD. Never gone through a cable. That's the only thing I've done. I haven't done anything. I've very rarely. I must have only had to do like 2 or 3 resands in my 6-year career because I'm so like autistic.
Oh, and what if you can keep it, not this bit, maybe keep it a little bit shorter. But what is the bit of advice about the flooring industry, not about sanding? Let's say, what's the bit of business advice you've received that you use to this day?
Do you know what? I wonder if I wrote this down, like, because I was writing little ideas, you know, the best advice. I've had a few. So like I say, so part of like, I have to say, like, right, keep it brief. So Dave Watson, at the early days, I would ring him and he'd just troubleshoot for me over the phone, and he would talk me through getting out of jail of the job like so many times. I don't need that advice anymore. But the best advice I've got was watch your overheads. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Watch your overheads because, you know, you can quite quickly, you know. And then the other one was, you know, believe it or not, it was Vernon from Floristar. And he'd just sort of say, you know, when you've been in these groups or you think people were talking, Vernon would just say, Danny, fuck everyone else, mate. You know, you go to work, you do your job, go home, don't talk about any of this shit. You know, like the negativity. Vernon was like, Danny, who gives a fuck? Excuse my language, but he's like, he's had a point. It's like, yeah, and I admire Vernon so much, you know, like, you know.
Vern's for the podcast. Vern's world class because Vern came to me as an apprentice welder.
Trained him. Oh, really? Was he?
He was an apprentice welder and stuck in. Did his job, turned up, was reliable, really took pride in his work, got him a van, etc. And then Vernon bought the business from us.
Yeah.
And still now, he uses all the tactics and the quality and the pricing, everything that we do at Cockrell & Co. He just absorbed that like a sponge, said, I can't remember, how old was Vernon, Sarah?
Like he's left school or something, was he? 18 or something?
No, but when did he take the business over? I don't know, 25. Let's see.
Look at that.
Let's say it's mid-25s. And he's just kept to the same process, built a massively successful business. Not huge, but successful sanding business, but just done the same processes. Yeah. And so hats off to Vern. So
everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel or do this, do that. And he's so knowledgeable. He's very humble. He knows every species or whatever. He doesn't try and be, he's just, he love it. He does his job and he does it well. He sticks to it. And he just was like, Danny, who gives it, why you like, and he talks sense to me, he tells you how it is as well. He told me, and that's part of me. I just stepping back from like leaving these groups or like just not getting involved with. Who cares if this supplier charges this much for that? Who cares? Not me, And he was like, that's because he was said to me, Danny, come on, go do your job, get home, forget about it. You know what I mean?
Two things with Vern as well, that his own personal stuff, which is quite blow his smoke here, but two things. He'll always ask for help. He'll never, he will ring and say, what would you do in this instance?
Humble, isn't he? He's humble guy.
And he still does that now. That's brilliant. And then the second thing, he's sharp as a button with his numbers. Like you said about your overheads.
Yeah.
Or you send him an invoice for lacquer that's 24 pence more than it was last month. He's like, that's 24 pence more.
That's the Darlington. That's the Darlington in you, though, isn't it? You're all like that. You're all quite savvy lads. It's about Darlington. You're just,
I've sold him a tub of glue and he's like, it was 58 quid last time, mate. Like,
it's 58 pound 20 pence.
Jesus, Vern. But yeah, anyway.
There you go. Yeah. So that's that. Keep it low, and then and like I said, with regards to Dave Watson, he just has done so much for me. I have to say it because I've said everything about everyone, but he's just done things where he's turned up to my door with an order which weren't going to make it. He's come on bank holiday weekends with stain that I didn't have for a big job. He's come on jobs parquet. He taught me how to lay parquet. He taught me how to fit for free. He taught me, just wants to. There's a man who really, he's just a woodmore floor. He's a woodman's woodman. If he just loves it. He don't want to take over the world. He just loves. It's his hobby. It's his passion, and he just wants to just help. And he just helped me as so much. I can't tell you, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So he would have took, as I said, everyone. I know I didn't name dropping everyone, but that man he become a mate as well. He's become a mate, and he's just a top guy with regards to, and I think that's the other thing we say about all this negativity. I think he kind of did something because he was an ex-guy on the tools, sort of thing, or he's done. And then I think sort of you would have like people talking about trying to cause, like, I just find like maybe like yourself or him, once you're doing something a bit different, people will try and cause trouble or try and throw tarnish, because they don't like what you're doing. Not many suppliers. I get it. He does what he does, not because wants to make a big profit. He does it because he does it for the love of it. He's driving out way on this bank holiday weekend or coming to me on a job, my first ever parquet job. Came with me and just led the charge on wrapping parquet on an island. I thought I can fit a floor now. And it was an island, and you got to match the heavy, you got to marry it up.
It's still panic stage.
Yeah, he came and just led the charge on it and just watch it, and this was actually before he went in for a quite major heart surgery, and this was actually while he had a real bad ticker or whatever was going wrong, and I just got to give it, and I think that he's also like highly respected and thought of, but I also think that there is other people who will try and cause a bit of trouble and sort of like, I think I've seen other reps for reputable like brands who talk really bad stuff about him, but it's because I think, again, it's always people projecting some kind of insecurity or and yeah, anyway, sorry, I just know that he's so many, he's done so much, he's helped me so much, and I think he's been a victim, like you say. If you put people might be negative, I think he's been a similar sort of thing where he's a bit of the new breed of suppliers where all of the old hacks don't work anymore, with Instagram and people talking now, and with these WhatsApp groups. A benefit is to him, everybody talks, have you used this, have you used that, now. So I guess it's like, so I've got to give a massive thanks to him. He's a massive part of my health.
I think the key message there really for the podcast listeners, that everyone's listening and running a flooring business, is it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
The right help. And also it's fucking lonely doing it on your own. It's much harder. And me and Sarah have done stuff. Why have mentors? Why have this? Why have that? Because it's fucking easier doing it with someone else.
I agree.
So that's,
totally.
That's a great thing with Dave. That and it doesn't matter who it is. It can be friends, family, suppliers. As long as you trust them, know them. That's one way to grow your business. It doesn't financially, just in sort of knowledge, let's say. But what I'm going to do now, Danny, is I'm going to go in the quick fire round. And these
I've been waiting for this, yeah.
And these are quick fire.
Really? What? Don't you want a long answer?
We're going to be here, and Rob's going to have to go and get some more beers. So,
sorry, everyone.
The old chestnut, McDonald's, Burger King, Five Guys or Domino's?
Wow, this has changed.
What we're ordering?
Oh, Five Guys, mate. Well, Burger King. Five Guys.
Five Guys,
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
totally.
So we're not a Five Guys virgin. That's fine. We'll get that out
No
of the way.
way, no way.
Sunbathing or skiing?
Mate, snowboarding, but it's skiing.
Snowboarding,
I go snowboarding every year, other than since having my baby. So I'm a keen snowboarder. Go every year.
Lovely.
Yeah, I went to Canada the other year. That's something
And
else.
we're sat here drinking, I don't even know.
Marjorie? Yeah, this Especial.
So what is your favourite alcoholic drink?
Ooh, a Vino Rosso, a Super Tuscan. Believe it or not, I'm quite cultured for a Yorkshireman. You know, a Tuscan red wine.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I like it. And if you... Well, no, we'll go this way. I'm assuming you've got a new house in York. What are the floors fitted to your house now?
Right, parquet, all downstairs. Because remember I told you, I'd learnt on my own floors back home. I fit loads of I just thought, right, I'll fit my own floors. If I mess them up, I can do them again. Parquet, all downstairs, upstairs, engineered planks, oak planks. So it's oak.
And what finish have you got on them? What did you put on them?
I've got on natural white 2KPU Burger Cider. It's a 2-component invisible lacquer. Raw looking.
Well, that was simple.
Yeah, I can do quick if you want.
And tea or coffee? Which one? If you had to drink only one on a job?
On a job? Oh, well, if I was on a desert island, it'd be Yorkshire tea. If I'm on a job, you wouldn't think I need coffee, but, that caffeine just gives you that extra bit of... So it's got to be coffee on it, mate.
Lovely.
On a job.
And if you won 10 million on tonight's Euro Millions,
I've done
the
it.
first 5 things you were going to buy.
Oh, wow, mate. Wow. Jeez, mate. I'd buy like a farm. Buy a farm. Yeah. That's one thing.
That's one.
Oh man, I didn't know. You know what? I always know like the other ones. I thought I'll tell him snowboarding. But if I've won the so buy a farm. I would buy a farm. I would buy a camper van. Yeah. I would buy a real expensive guitar. I play guitar, so I'd buy, something that belong.
Speaker.
Yeah, something that belong to like John Lennon or someone like that. George Harrison's guitar. I'd buy a guitar. So that's 1, 2. That's 3. I would buy. I'd buy. 10 million. I would. Given all the youth work that I've done, I would put like some sort of. I'd buy some kind of something for young people, like a bit like a training school for naughty kids who can go and do hands-on stuff. So I'd buy some kind of. I'd be a bit like a philanthropist. Like I'd buy a like a kind of school for naughty kids not naughty but disadvantaged people. I'd try and invest in the. I'd try and invest in the community. That's 4. 5. I would buy. My mummy a house. Buy me mummy a house, of course. I'm a mama's boy.
If she's going to listen, you'll be like, excuse me.
I'm going to get her to watch this on the TV because, she'll think I'm on telly. She's a bit of a Luddite, so I'm going to put YouTube app on and she can watch it. I'm like, Mum, I'm on telly. We made it. Look where we've come. So, yeah.
And what dream vehicle? I know you said camper. What type of camper would it be? Or have you got a car in mind? Would you like a car or...
Yeah, no, totally. That's a good point. Yeah, no. You know what? If it's a vehicle, don't have to necessarily have 4 wheels. I'd a boat, a nice big. You see these Saudi sort of oil tycoons on. It's like a 5-story house on a boat. I'd have like a.
You might not have changed from 10 million.
Yeah. Really? Is that you can tell?
Maybe have a little yacht down Scarborough.
Yeah. I'd get like a Max and Paddy camper van. Remember Max and Paddy? Yeah, I'd get like that. Yeah, that'd be great for me. That'd be me.
I love it.
Less is more.
Brilliant. So, Danny, as that brings the end of the podcast, where can everyone find you on social media? Obviously Instagram, but is there anywhere else you're lurking, or is that the number one place?
That's where I put a lot of my chicken eggs in that basket. Instagram, so at Danny Sandhouse or Sandhouse Floor Sanding. Everything just duplicates through to Facebook anyway, so that's where you'll find me, man. Danny Sandhouse, Sandhouse Floor Sanding. If you've not had enough of me by now and if you're still listening to me, that's where you can find me. So nice one. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
I'm watching, yeah.
Wow.
And I think the message on this podcast is don't make assumptions over anyone until you've sat down face to face and had a beer.
Totally, mate.
We're gonna go.
I will also add. Cheers to that. I will also add that you know what? It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
And as long as, you know, you think, I was wrong there. Don't fall on your sword. Don't die on a hill. You know, I was wrong. We're always wrong. No one's right all the time. So it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. And we will
Wrong
end.
he was.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
very much.
Thank you so much, mate. Thanks for having me.
The sponsor for this show is us. Is Cockrell & Co. What do Cockrell & Co do? Well, we help flooring shops, retailers, contractors, wholesalers, and anyone connected to the flooring industry spend more time doing productive things, putting systems and processes in place, making more bottom line profit, and running their business much more efficiently than they ever thought was possible. We run training courses, we have a community of nearly 100 people, and this podcast too. So if you want to know more about what we do, the best place to find us is either on socials, Cockrell & Co, or the website, which is cockrellandco.co.uk. We'd love to speak to you about how your business is going, what your plans are, and how you would love to grow and mature that over time. There is no cost to have a conversation with us on Zoom or on the telephone. We now have a fantastic senior leadership team who can help you with 99.9% problems, and if we can't help you, we will find someone that can. So no matter what flooring business you've got, what help you would need, you just need to ask. That is all. So without the corporate waffle, without the bloke in the shiny suit, but someone that wants to make more money and spend time doing things that you love, we would love to hear from you. Again, visit cockrellandco.co.uk and send us a message, or find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.